right, so now we're going to sketch some rational functions without our calculator. So the first thing I'm going to think about are my asymptotes. I know that there's going to be a vertical asymptote when x equals 3, because that's where I would divide by 0. I know that my horizontal asymptote is my end behavior. So I think about my long division, and I know that this is going to equal 1 plus something. So that tells me that my horizontal asymptote is going to be y equals 1. If I go back to what we just talked about up here, I see that my powers are the same. I have a power of 1, power of 1. So this tells me that y equals the ratio of coefficients. So y equals 1 over 1 is my horizontal asymptote. So that's the other way I can see that. I know there's no point discontinuities because nothing is being canceled out. So I'm going to go ahead and draw in my asymptotes. So x equals 3. I'm going to make this bright green color. All right, there's x equals 3. Here's y equals 1. And if you had a ruler, then it would be best to do this with a dashed line. But since I'm doing it on my tablet, I'm just going to draw it in. But dashed lines are better for asymptotes. I'm going to label those equations with their equations. So this is y equals 1. This one is x equals 3. And now I want to think about any intercepts. I know f of 0 is going to be 0 over negative 3, which is 0. That's simultaneously an x and y intercept. So I've got the point 0, 0. There's no other intercepts. So I believe that this graph is going to look something like this. Well, let's think about what happens. As I'm getting closer to 3 on this side, so I'm thinking about x values of like 2, 2.5, 2.9, well, that's going to be like 2.9 over negative 0.1. That's going to give me negative 20. So it seems to me that this is going towards negative infinity. And I bet on this side I'm going towards 1, but just less than 1. So let's think about a value like that. Let's say negative 1. So at negative 1, I'm going to have negative 1 over negative 4. That's going to give me 1/4, so I'm here. Let's think about a really big value, like negative 10. So now I'm going to have negative 10 over negative 13. Well, that's closer to 1, but still less than 1, and it's always going to be less than 1 because my denominator value is going to be more negative than this value. So I'm going to approach it this way. All right. On this side, value like 3.1, well, that's going to be 3.1 over 0.1. That's going to be positive, so I'm coming from positive infinity. I'm going to approach this way. Thinking again of 10 over 7 is getting closer to 1, but still greater than 1. If I think about a really big number like 100, I've got 100 over 97. So again, closer to 1, but always bigger than 1. That's why I'm on this side of the horizontal asymptote. If I wanted to be a bit more detailed, I could pick the number 4. And I know that when x is 4, my y value is also 4. So I could plot this more clearly and say I'm going through the point 4, but you don't need to do that. Your intercept needs to be clear, that we're going through 0, 0. Your asymptotes need to be clear and where the curves are, but everything else can just be your best estimate.